Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another beautiful day, another beautiful episode of Here's Why You're Wrong. Brenden, we've got an action-packed episode. I'm excited.
I'm really excited for this one. I think last one was our best one yet. This one might top it.
At least the second half of last part of the episode, I should say.
Last quarter.
Just so everyone is aware, we recorded the last part before this part, so we know how it comes out.
It's like a lot of fun. It's like having dessert before your dinner.
Yeah, it's great. It's like when you're on a cruise ship and have ice cream at like 5 o'clock and your dinner reservation's 5:30. I think that's the greatest analogy.
It is.
So in today's episode, we're going to talk awards. We put Brenden on the hot seat. We put myself on the hot seat. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be a good episode. Let's hop right into it. Let's start with Rookie of the Year, because I think that's the best place to start.
I think so too.
So talk to me, AL Rookie of the Year.
All right.
There are some obvious candidates. There are some non-obvious candidates.
I feel like the top of the field. The top of the field is obvious. It's Ed Brown or Thurman, right? That's an obvious choice. But I want to go with a not obvious choice. My AL Rookie of the Year is Toronto Blue Jays center fielder Dalen Lyle. Last year in AAA, he played 131 games. He had an 852 OPS. He hit 27 doubles, 10 home runs. He was a great hitter, and he's MLB ready for this upcoming season. He should be part of the roster, and I think he has a really good chance to emerge as part of the young core in Toronto and win the award.
Yeah, I like that. I'm actually not going to go with one of the go-to picks just because I want to be a little different. I'm actually going to go to the West, not Thurman. I'm going to go with an outfielder, specifically a right fielder. I'm going to go with Los Angeles' Barry Allen. I think he's going to be a stud. Not necessarily a power hitter, but doesn't strike out. And he does everyone's favorite thing. Andrew, if we can put it in here, he gets on base. He gets on base. I'm telling you, that's what you need. That's what you need out of a player. And I think he's going to fit Tom's team really, really nicely.
He will. And it'll be nice for him to get his own CCP up.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk NL Rookie of the Year. Do you want me to kick this one off?
I want you to go first.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the obvious pick because I have to. I'm going to go ahead and take a catcher out of Atlanta. I'm going to go with catcher Aiden Pearson, continuing to develop. I'll be honest, I'm a little worried about the strikeouts. I think defensively he's going to be really solid. High catcher ability, good catcher arm. But I think all around he's going to be good. I think if I'm going with someone outside of myself, like you may ask me to do, I can't go against Danny Smith Jr., who's going to be Rookie of the Year eligible.
No, Danny Smith Jr. already removed his eligibility.
Really?
Yeah. The eligibility is like 120 plate appearances, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it's something lowish like that. He played a third of the season.
Well, then never mind on that one. In that case, I mean,
Trey Griffey, Barry Bonds,
Yeah, Trey Griffey probably.
Yeah,
I'll give Trey Griffey the nod.
Yeah, that's a more obvious choice.
However, sorry, I thought Danny Smith Jr. was still eligible. My apologies.
No, he is not. I want to go with another less obvious choice. And I'm going to go with New York Mets outfielder Sergio Fajardo.
Okay.
Last year he went through a very rapid ascent through the minors, starting the year in high A and making it all the way to have a cup of coffee in the majors. He is a ratings darling. He has very good power. He has a pretty good eye. He's got great range in the outfield. His arm's a little bit weak, so left field probably is a really good spot for him in the future. I feel like on a team that is devoid of a lot of offensive talent and with a clear void at left field, he will be playing, if not on opening day, then by the beginning of May. And his profile says that he should challenge for the award despite not being one of those top-tier guys.
So we do have some form of agreement on this. And that the person's going to come out of the NL East.
Correct. Because in the NL East, I feel like, you have outside of Washington, you have some less competitive teams who are going to be playing rookies to try and develop for the future.
You're full of it. You're full of it, sir. I mean, I think that there is some truth to both of these teams are going to be playing younger guys in both New York and Atlanta. But I think the fact of the matter is these younger guys are ready. These younger guys are there and ready to play. I mean, you look at Atlanta, and I'll just use that because that's the team I have the most knowledge of. You got Antonio Alvarez, who's going to go into his second season. You've got Pearson, and then you got Johnny Burnitz as well, who's going to be leading the line out there. Those three guys are going to be out there. You mix them in with veterans of Austin Riley, who's going to get his re-rate. You mix it in with Freddie Freeman. You mix it in with Alex Verdugo, the reigning AL MVP, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And you also mix it in with some of the other players as well as the backups involved there. These young guys are going to shine. And I think New York also has Yofran Escalona, who's going to be there for his third year. Got some of these younger guys. And even in Washington, they have some young guys. So the NL East is really turning into a young juggernaut division where the right veterans are coming in and helping these younger players grow.
I don't know if I agree with the entire division assessment, but sure.
I'm saying the NL East is in the top three teams.
All right.
Because you look at the rosters, you look at the average ages of those rosters, they're not terribly old. They've got a lot of young talent. Also, the minors have a lot of young talent for these guys. And they're bringing guys constantly through the system, and they're always finding ways to add talent.
It's not bad enough you're a homer. You're a homer for your division now, too.
Someone's got to defend my division on here.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, outside of Washington, no one else is going to be defending it in the postseason.
Wow. You're just poking the bear today.
I am poking it. I just got I got a good 2 or 3 minutes talking about your team out of you, so
hey, fair enough. All right, let's move on to the Cy Young Award.
I'll have you go first here. Who's your AL Cy Young winner?
AL Cy Young winner. You know, I'm going to take the obvious choice. I'm going to take the choice that you're probably expecting. I'm going to go ahead and take, let me think. Let me look here. Let me think. I don't know. There's so many good players. I don't know. I'm so confused. I'm actually not going to take your player. I'm going to go ahead and take Ben Spears in Tampa.
Well, you know what? You took the rug out from underneath me because I was honestly expecting you to go Knight, and I was going to go Spears. So instead, I'll just go Knight.
I didn't want to go with the obvious choice, and I didn't want to pump your ego too much.
I really do feel like Spears probably didn't get enough credit for how good he was last year. I don't think he was as good as the top of the class, which was Reed and Knight last year. But with no Reed and with another year of growth and development, I think Spears and Knight are really going to represent the Rays and Orioles pennant chase next year.
Not to mention, I think the silent guy behind them, as well as a potential Rookie of the Year candidate as well in the AL, could be Alex Luger. Luger's a good pitcher.
Yeah, he is.
I was upset that I had to trade him, but
you had to do what you had to do. You got to do what you got to do.
But he could be a really good option, and honestly, he could be in contention for that award as well.
I wouldn't be surprised by it if I wouldn't put him in there in like preseason prediction, but I think come June we could easily be talking about him.
I mean, is there a guy that you're looking at right now who could be like the shock?
Ooh, like a shock pick?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question there. To be honest with you, I really wasn't. Rosario, I think I've pounded the table saying I think he's poised to really break out this year. He had a decent, first season with KC last year. He gets traded. He's in the new environment. He's kind of the back of that pitching staff. I really do think that he could be a dark horse candidate.
I really like that pick. That's actually where I was going to go before you took it underneath the rug for me. So now I'm like scrambling to look.
Well, now we're even.
Yeah, fair enough. So now I'm like scrambling to look through what's going to happen here. For me, I don't really know. I think there's a lot of good options, but at the same time, there's a lot of like, ooh, this guy could be good, but he's not actually that good. You know what I mean? Sort of style of.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm going to go ahead and go with a guy who's a 27-year-old, didn't do much to impress last year out of the bullpen, but I think in a full-time starting role, Or, nah, you know what? Scratch that. I'm going with the starter, an MV or a Cy Young candidate in real life. I'm going to throw this one out there as like a real one. I'm going to go Corbin Burns in Houston.
Okay.
Just something different. I like what he brings to the table. He's got a great pitch mix. I think that goes underrated in OOTP.
If you wanted to stay in the AOS, you could have taken Greg Briggs in Los Angeles.
That was a thought. The other one is as much as as much crap as we give people in general on this, and as much crap as we especially give this guy, I think Corbin Co could have been an option as well.
Ooh, for Cy Young, I would take Barboza in the conversation.
Here's the thing, and here's why I say Co. Just because CCP, we know Coach has boosts stored up. Who knows what he does, even with the new rules? He's still got plenty of room at his age. There's the potential.
It's a stretch for 26. It's a stretch for 26.
Hey, I said a complete dark horse, okay?
Well, okay, fine. You're taking dark horse. You're taking an invisible horse. It's not there.
The invisible horse sometimes wins. We've seen Kentucky derbies where horses come out of nowhere. All right, let's move on to NL, which I think is a little more exciting of a division. So, talk to me. What are you thinking? What's on your head?
I've been vacillating between a couple different choices. I really, really want to take Escalona or Diggs, but I've got to go to the West Coast and take one of the CCPs.
No.
Rug out again?
Huh?
You know what? I say Candela. I want to change my pick a little bit. I think voting in the NL, 3 of the top 5 Cy Young contenders will be Los Angeles Dodgers.
Whoa.
Rakosi,
okay.
Peralta, okay, and Snell.
You took my big one and my shock one right out from under me. I hate you.
Scramble. Figure it out.
Scramble. All right, we're playing the option. I'm going to go ahead and take the obvious selection and probably a guy who's in contention for NL Rookie of the Year in Jandy Ronson.
Let's actually make sure. Let's see if he is.
I don't think he played a single game last year.
He actually he played he pitched 74 in a third innings.
What's
so
the
Jandy
cutoff?
Ronson is no longer rookie eligible.
What's the cutoff?
50.
Oh wow, that's
because otherwise I would have taken Jorge Soto as my Rookie of the Year in the American League.
In that case, I'll take Escalona, and I'll take. I'm still sticking with Snell as my second one.
Yeah, and what's crazy, I really do think that Dodgers pitching staff is going to make a huge difference.
That Dodgers pitching staff is
nasty,
crazy. All right, let's go ahead and move over to everyone's favorite discussion. Let's talk about who's going to be the batting champ in each league.
Oh, the batting champion? Yes.
Our favorite thing to talk about. And just because we recorded the hot seat earlier, I didn't necessarily say who it was going to be, but I did say what team they're going to come out of, so I sort of have to stick with that for the AL.
Why don't you go ahead?
I'm gonna take Devers. I'm gonna take Devers as the hitting champion.
All right, you know what? Let's take a look at what he can do here. I mean, Devers last year had his first year over 300 in his entire career, and it was 301, and it took a 336 BABIP to do it. I think you're insane.
Hey, that's fair. I've been called worse.
I'm gonna take the man who was a step down, but in the running for batting title until an injury derailed his season, and I'm gonna take Michael Busch in Baltimore.
I like it. I don't hate it.
I need to plug my boy here. I need to plug my boy.
Please do.
Last year.
Hold on, Brenden. Before you plug your boy, I'll even allow you to do this. I'll even give you the big screen.
Give me the big screen. Let me talk about my boy Michael Busch, and maybe we need to ask Andrew to put his player card up here while we're talking.
Go ahead.
All right. Last year, there were 7 hitters in all of Major League Baseball who had a 400 on-base percentage who were qualified hitters. All of them were a 74 or higher OSA overall, except for Michael Busch. Michael Busch was in the low 60s. Michael Busch has hit 308 and 311 in each of his first two seasons as a full-time starter. I think he is a prime candidate for batting title, as well as being the Baltimore Orioles official team captain.
Are you officially naming him on this podcast?
I'm officially naming my boy.
So does that mean I have to name a team captain for my team?
You can. We're coming around to you in the National League here now, so
fine. Let's talk batting champ first. I'll let you start this one off.
All right. So we're talking about the National League. You have an obvious contender. You have a 3-time batting champion and twice in the National League, Alex Verdugo, on your team. And I'll be honest, I'm not terribly versed in National League hitters. I don't study the National League as much as I do the American League. I don't pay enough attention. But I really do think a guy like Ronald Acuna Jr. in St. Louis can take the title. He's 305 last year. He's over 300. I think he's a guy who could do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not Danny Smith Jr. who was probably going to do it. And I think I just took your choice again, didn't I? Okay, you were looking at me all mad.
I am.
Who's your guy?
I'm going different Chicago Cub, Kent Hrbek.
Look, it's probably a better choice. I just didn't want to take the guy who literally blew every other third baseman and like every other 20-year-old third baseman in history out of the water.
But I would like to give a dark horse candidate that's on my team, not named Alex Verdugo. The guy who finished in, I believe it was second place for the Rookie of the Year voting last year, who had a really good season, Antonio Alvarez. A point under 300, played really well, I think, with a – because I didn't
– Mark down the time. We'll have Andrew put his card up.
Okay, here we go. No, 7 All right. But I honestly think – hold on. I'll go ahead and give myself the hot seat here, the enlarged view for this. But Antonio Alvarez had a really good season last year, and I think he sort of goes under the radar when we're talking about some of these rookies from last year, just because, A, he's not a CCP, B, he was, on a team that wasn't exactly challenging for the playoffs. But last year, he hit .299, had an OPS of 903, a 141 OPS. I know I hate WAR, but I'll still use it here. A 5.1 WAR. He had 33 homers, 87 RBIs. He had 165 hits, 24 doubles. He stole 13 bases, walked 58 times, only struck out just over 100 times. So he had a pretty good walk to strikeout ratio. Over a 162 average, it says he would have a 6 WAR, a 300 average. He would hit about 36 homers and have a really awesome season. So I think with the right season, assuming he doesn't have second season syndrome, I think he's a really good dark horse option to put in that.
You know what? I would love nothing more than to disagree with you. I can't. I personally, I love Alvarez. I love him. He's a great player. It's a real damn shame he's going to be playing for Atlanta.
I know you hate that he's going to be playing for Atlanta, but
yeah, he would look really good in Baltimore Orange.
I disagree. I think the Atlanta Tomahawk looks really good on him. All right. So I think we both have a good idea of batting champ. But the question is will batting champ correlate to MVP?
It can. It may. It may not.
Let's talk. You want to start AL or NL?
You know what? Let's start AL like we were, and I'll have you go first here.
This is where I struggle the most because I don't know the American League. I'm going to be straight up and honest. I don't know the American League as much as you do. Obviously, I know the National League quite well. Before today's recording, I would have said Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
However, in today's sim, he got an injury with an unknown diagnosis. And the fact that it's taking this long scares me.
I'm worried for San Diego right now, if it's nothing bad.
So I'm going to go with a guy who is in the same division and probably a little bit of an obvious choice, but I'm going to go with Michael Sean Kane.
Stole my choice right out from under me.
Ha-ha!
You got me back.
On guard.
All right. It'd be really easy to go with an obvious choice like Urbeck or Smith, or maybe less obvious choice like the other Diggs brother on Washington. But I think this year's NL MVP will be playing for a team that does not make the playoffs. I think Verdugo goes back-to-back. I think Verdugo goes back-to-back MVPs.
See, you just messed with my feelings real hard there, bud.
I did.
You messed with my feelings real hard.
And actually, I have a slight suspicion that he may not. I think I would really love to see this, and I don't know if we will see this. I think it'd be kind of cool to see an MVP get traded midseason and win an MVP.
No comment.
And I think that this is like the one situation where it can happen, so I'm going to speak it into existence.
No comment because I don't know where I'll be at.
You don't know where you'll be at. He's on an expiring deal. Extension talks are kind of murky. Not to mention you are not a conservative trader.
Maybe I'm really happy with where my team is at, and now I can be a little more conservative.
Maybe, or maybe you're sitting at the deadline at a couple games over or under 500, and you're like, well, he's having a great year. On the last year of his deal, he's expiring. Let's ship him.
Then give me this. Just playing the curiosity game, because we love the curiosity game. Give me 3 destinations for Mr. Verdugo.
3 destinations for Mr. Verdugo. Okay. You're assuming somebody's going to be in the playoff contention at the time. San Diego.
Okay.
We're keeping it to NL, or we're keeping it to like anywhere?
No, you can send them anywhere. I don't care. This is not
sending them anywhere. All right, teams in playoff contention. San Diego, Anaheim, like Angels.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he'd do it because he's not this aggressive usually. But Tampa, just to with me. And yes, we will Char Bunny this, and I'm okay with it. It's my first Char Bunny.
Sorry, just have to write this down.
Charles will do anything in his power to mess with him. I know this. If he can, he would.
And him and I love a trade.
Yeah, it's mind games, dude. He'll play mind games.
I'm just saying, he has a few names that I love. And for maybe $10 million, because it's half a season.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I got Alex Verdugo money, or not Alex Verdugo. I got Johan Camargo money to play with now.
Yeah.
By the way, since the last episode, Johan Camargo is no longer a Brave.
Which means the greatest meme or the second greatest meme in eMLB history is now dead.
For the newest one, check out the Discord.
Yes.
Hold on. Whoa.
All right, we've spent too long on the National League. Let's go to the American League. And I'll have you go first here because I was doing most of the talking right there.
That's fine. American League. There's so many good options. Like, that's the thing. And
that's really a testament to the league. I like that.
I love that. I'm going to go to Seattle. I'm going to go with Pedro Serrano.
It's a good, solid choice.
It's a different choice.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie in to an answer I gave during our hot seat segment, which you'll see here in a minute. Nick Spence does what should have happened last year and takes home the MVP.
We're just gonna hit this button for you real quick here. Just we don't want to listen to his homerism because he accuses me of being Homer, but no, all of a sudden, here you go. Here you go. Welcome back.
I was gonna write down what I was gonna say. Ian Verdugo last season were tied for first place votes for MVP with 12 apiece. You know what? I don't feel like it's an out of the question deal. He's an amazing defender, quality all around hitter. And I'm homering because I think he's going to take home yet another Silver Slugger. He's won 2 in a row. He'll win 3 in a row. No man should have the power to mute someone else.
It was too much fun. I had to take the opportunity while I had it. You know what? And in all seriousness, it's not a bad pick. I just think the AL has improved a whole lot more, and I think without the protection of Verdugo in that lineup, Spence may struggle a little more.
You know what? Probably with RBI protection, yeah, but Spence hit after Verdugo. So, I mean, I feel like the lineup as a whole remains strong. Not as strong, but strong.
You're really telling me Jake Bauers is the same level caliber as Verdugo?
I didn't say that at all. I did say that when you take in the loss of production going from Verdugo to Bauers and you add the gain in production in a couple other places, you end up less, but not dramatically so.
Fair enough. I mean, I think that's an obvious.
Yeah, Anthony Medrano won't have to play every day anymore and make errors in the playoffs.
There was an idea shown around in the Discord that I just sort of want your thought about. Okay? Which team is going to fire a staff member mid-season? Because there's at least one team that always fires a staff member mid-season. Which team is it going to be? Kansas City?
Kansas City.
What coach?
Kansas City will fire their bench coach and pitching coach.
Interesting.
In a joint move. I think the hitting staff is. I think the hitters on Kansas City are pretty good, but I feel like Minerva will not get the level of production he feels like he should get out of his guys, and he will probably can his coaches.
Interesting. I don't hate it.
Who's yours? I'm
going to go with Arizona's bench coach and hitting coach.
Ooh, okay.
I think Aaron will be happy with her pitching staff, but I think the hitters were so ungodly good last year, especially down the stretch, that when they take that step back to a more on-earth level, Aaron's going to get a little upset and try to do something rash to make a change. I also would not be shocked if Aaron is a buyer at the deadline with how close the NL West is going to be, and maybe she makes a play for a big player.
You know, she talks so much about trade. What is trading? I almost like part of me wants to think it's a bit. I don't think it is. I think Aaron is a pure build from within GM. She will trade as little as possible.
But I think if the opportunity arises, you got to think there's always that one player.
Maybe so.
We see a lot of the GMs in this league who are built within guys. But when they have the opportunity for that one player, they always take it.
That's fair. I guess we'll see if she's the exception to the rule or if she follows it.
All right. We asked this question in the hot seat. Who's going to be the buyer at the deadline? Who's going to be the seller at the deadline?
Ooh, are you asking me?
Yeah.
Buyer at the deadline is going to be Tampa. I think Tampa is already the best roster in the American League. And I think that they will make themselves even better. Seller. Texas. I think Texas has some overpriced pieces. And I think that when they find themselves sitting at fourth in the division, with no real path to get into the top 3 or even into the playoffs, I think they'll probably reposition themselves for the future.
All right. And then how about on the NL side? Since you gave us 2 NL, I'll ask for 2 NL.
All right. 2 for 1.
You want me to give my AL first, or you want to?
No, I'll just go and then you can go do your 4. All right. Biggest buyer. Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee has a real chance to make noise in the Central, despite being kind of overlooked. And I think that when they find themselves in playoff contention about midseason, they'll start adding. Biggest seller is probably going to be Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is going to crash and burn just a little bit. Sorry, Hebrew. I don't mean that meanly towards your team, but I think that when they're not going to be very good, and they're probably going to try and get rid of some of the talent, maybe even some of the talent they just brought in.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I think that's fair. AL wise, buyer, I'm gonna go with Seattle. I'm gonna
that's a good choice.
like Seattle as a buyer. I think they've got a really underrated team and a really good team that I think is going to make some noise in that very competitive AL West, or maybe even in the wild card. And when they find themselves 2 games out of the West or 2 games out of the wild card, they're going to want to make an addition, and I think they've got the pieces to do so. Biggest seller is going to be Minnesota. I think they realize that they're going to be 3 or 4 years out of a rebuild, and I think they've got some really good pieces. Even if they can hold on to LaRon Smith at the deadline because he's a young guy before arbitration, you still got a few older guys. The Willy Adames deal you made and signed. Some of those other guys similar there that if a team is desperate enough in a playoff hunt, you might be able to sell some of those guys off.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
All right. And then in the NL, I'm going to go biggest buyer. I'm going to go the Dodgers. I think maybe they're not saying I'm trading him, but a potential landing spot for a Verdugo-type player. Maybe if Philly is selling a Bryce Harper, something of that
I wish
nature.
you'd say something a little bit more eccentric and wild, because you're just making too much sense. It's uncanny.
It's great. I actually make sense for once. It's weird. And I'm going to go seller. I'm going to get a little wild here. I'm going to say Pittsburgh is the biggest seller at the deadline.
Ooh,
I think
what's left to sell?
That's my thing. I don't know what there's left to sell, but as one of the top 3 trading GMs in the league, Cody will find something to sell in that.
I think they've already sold.
I agree, but I just wasn't really know another team. I guess if I give another team, I'm going to say, pardon me for the cough, I'm going to say seller. I'll go a little out of left field, I guess, a little different, and I'll stick in the NL Central. I'll go Cincinnati Reds.
Ooh, okay.
I think if they find themselves far enough out, you'll want to get some of those young guys playing time. You see, obviously, he's been trying to move Jesse Winker for a while. You've got some other names potentially. I'm actually going to pull them up in the file here to give you some specifics, I guess, on guys who might be there in general. And, you can see them send some of their pitching out of the door. Wilmer Fenelon, potentially a Freeland, Lance McCullers, some of these older guys. Then when you talk about maybe even Jordan Hicks.
He's got a player option, and if you think he'll stick around for a franchise if they're, finishing towards the bottom again.
Yeah. You think, maybe even if he's crazy, you see Jonathan India.
Ooh.
He just added Barrios, but maybe a guy like a Jake Snyder. I know that's a weird name just to throw out. Maybe a Taylor Trammell.
Trammell's under contract for too long.
But still, I'm just throwing stuff out. A Jesse Winker type, obviously. So there are some names that he can definitely move. Maybe even a Jeff Hartley, as well. So there are names to be moved, and I think if he's far enough out of it, JR realizes that he can reap the benefits. And if anyone knows a major league organization how to run it, it's JR.
That's true.
The sexiest GM in all of eMLB.
You have to change the subject to get an argument out of me.
So I feel like we haven't done enough arguing this episode.
We haven't. You know what? We're falling into this trap where we get along too much. I don't like it. It feels wrong.
Let's cause an argument right now.
Let's do it.
And I've got the greatest way to do it. All right? Tell me right now, and I'm going to say this with a lot in my voice here, and I want you to explain this to me, okay? Tell me why Baltimore will only finish with one person in a top 5 of any voting.
But why they'll only finish with one person? Because you're wrong. Like that's not possible.
Well, explain to me how it's possible, because I can see it happening. I can see Nick Spence and Buster Bluth taking a step back. The only one who I really have faith in is Ethan Knight, and I think the rest of your team is honestly going to take a step back this year. Even you've said it yourself, you're expecting a step back with Tampa.
Yeah, a step back from 97 wins, a step back from, like, best record in the league, not a step down. Like, listen, I'm saying we finish with, like, 90 wins, right? That's a step back, and that's still better than your trash squad.
Really, my squad is trash completely. That is not how this ends up.
Compared to your competition, yeah.
Compared to my competition, I am probably
in the National League.
I am the number one team in the division, and I will sit here and say that because
you're better than Washington. Do we really need to do a repeat of the last episode where I just started listing the Washington hitters in order and going, how do you beat this?
I think if you're taking me in Washington in a 7-game series, which I already predicted that I would lose in a 7-game series. However, I think the fact of the matter is that we could see Washington take a step back this year because some of those players he had put up ungodly numbers last year. Even though Soto was back down to league average, some of those hitters put up ungodly numbers last year. That is to the point that I think Atlanta could take over, but we're not talking about Atlanta right now. We're not going on Atlanta. We're talking about Baltimore.
Took a step back. Anthony was better than he was the year before that, although he was still great the year before that. Garcia took a step back last year. Mark Diggs made his debut as a rookie. Trey Turner hit exactly the same as he did the year before. Rodriguez took a slight step back. Bishop was better. So you have 2 guys better, a few guys who took step backs, and some guys who did the exact same. So you assume that equals out, and you end up right where you're at.
How about his bullpen?
His bullpen's garbage. His bullpen is trash. But you know what? They get results because they managed to shut us down for 6 games. So what do I know? Honestly,
your bullpen can't hold up for 2 straight years with that Band-Aid of a bullpen.
They held up. They held up for an entire playoffs and a World Series. So. But you know what?
You can't hold off over an entire season. I don't believe. I believe
they didn't hold off over an entire season.
It's a Band-Aid bullpen.
That's why they won 89 games. It's because it didn't hold up for an entire season. But that lineup and that rotation kept them in really good position. And by the way, I do mean this. You are the 7th best team in the National League by like talent. The Dodgers, the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Giants, the Nationals. And the Brewers. Oh, and the Padres. I've got the Padres.
So I'm telling you right now, and I'll put a bet down about this. I bet you right now.
No. Don't tell me the bet. Let's make the bet first. Bet right now. Loser gets on this show and reads a prepared statement made by the other.
Okay, I like that.
With the entire viewing audience as our witness.
I like that.
All right, what's your bet?
My bet is that I finish because what do you think my win total will be this year? What did you say my win total?
85-ish.
I bet you I finish over under 85.5. I'll take the over.
Okay, taking the under.
85.5. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. It's marked down. It's
okay.
In the file. It's recorded. I'm
Watch
taking
you
the over at
85.5.
And I hope you know this statement is going to be the most beautiful, juicy thing I have ever written. I don't think you're ready for it.
No, you're going to be ready for what I have to write, all right?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, we'll see where it is. I'm glad we got a little argument in there to end it.
I'm glad we did, too. You know what? I like how it started out as a joke, and then it actually got real.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the first half of the episode. Due to the editing magic of Mr. Andrew Pazal, I feel like I always like cut him down, so I've got to lift him up a little bit at sometimes, you know. But due to his editing magic, you'll see a slight cut. Me and Brenden are going to go to bed because we recorded this after the hot seat. You'll see a beautiful episode of the hot seat. I didn't mention at the end of that one, but make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you drop down below in the comments. And depending on when this goes out, Friday night, a little new action on a little new platform.
Yeah,
with you and I. Maybe a few other guys.
And 2 other very important people in the eMLB community.
So make sure you all tune into that. Make sure you come to the Streamathon and enjoy yourself. So for everyone involved, we thank you so much for listening. Here's the hot seat. Thank you to the brilliance of our amazing editor and the power of editing. We are now back for the second part of this episode here. It is the hot seat segment. brought to you by sponsor not available yet. Please contact us if you'd like to sponsor in this spot. But we've got a fun way we're going to do this now, or at least for this episode. Me and Brenden are used to being on the hot seat, and don't worry, we will be at some point. But we've got a few fellow GMs who are going to hop in and join us on the hot seat here. I know we have at least 3, maybe some more might sneak in. We'll see about it. But we'll go ahead and get started here. We're going to start with a co-host of one of our fellow podcasts. Joining us now, the GM of the St. Louis Cardinals, Andrew. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to an opportunity for you guys to throw some random questions at me.
Oh, this is going to be a good one. So we'll just go ahead and get it kicked off. Brenden, you want to start it?
Yeah, I do. I want you to tell me right now, who will finish the season with more WAR? Royce Lewis or Courtney plus White?
Courtney and White together?
Yeah.
Honestly, because of how good they are defensively, I'm going to say Courtney and White.
Okay.
But I think that the offensive capability of Lewis will make a bigger impact on my team.
I like it. All right. In a 7-game series between me and Brenden, who would win?
With you and Brenden as the team stand now?
As the team stand now.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. It'll go all 7 games. I'm going to say that up front. It's going to go all 7 because, honestly, if you had taken injuries out of the equation, I would say Brenden, no question, because he would have Jim Reed back. But I think that X factor out of the equation, I think Aiden squeaks it out in 7.
I like it. All right,
barely.
He's done. Get him out.
And that's where we ended. Thank you so much for joining us, Andrew.
No problem.
Thank you.
That was Mr. Andrew Page. Next one up, we're going to go ahead and head to the West Coast, where our man Tom, the GM of the Angels, rocking the All-Star jersey today. Tom, how you doing, buddy? You're muted. There's always one guy.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Tom, how you doing?
Jersey. Doing good.
I love it. Oh, it's the City Connect. I couldn't tell from the top half because it looked like the gold from the All-Star.
Unfortunately, it's also a Soto jersey.
All right, so we'll just go ahead and kick off this hot seat with Tom. I'll go first on this one. Tom, who's going to be the biggest seller at the eMLB trade deadline this year?
Biggest seller? We've already had some big sellers, I feel. But I feel like Minnesota might be selling off some pieces come the deadline.
Minnesota
with Royce Lewis. I think they've got some good guys that they could get some good younger talent off of.
Fair.
All right, I'm going to play right off of that and ask you who's going to be the biggest buyer.
Ooh, I might be a big buyer. We'll see.
Ooh, all right.
All right. And then I'm going to throw in one more question for you here, Tom. This one should be quick and easy. Who's going to be the MVP of the AL West?
AL West MVP. I think if Texas gets a full year of Sammy Isla, he's a game changer. I'm really scared about Texas.
Some great answers. Thank you so much, Tom. That was Tom, the GM of the Angels. Next, joining us from not from Ohio where he lives, but from Ohio in Cleveland, the Cleveland GM, Sean, aka Sadier. Sadier, how you doing?
Wonderful. How are you guys doing tonight?
We're doing great.
Right.
Brenden, you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I want to kick this off. Who would win a 7-game series between the Cubs and the Cardinals as they stand right now?
Cardinals.
Okay.
All right.
Pitching depth.
Fair. That's a fair answer. Who is going to be the AL MVP this year, Sadier?
Ooh. Wow. I didn't expect that question. Someone from the Tigers. And we'll go. You know what? Dexter Morgan.
Dexter Morgan, nice pick. All right, Sadier, thank you. Brenden, do you have another one for him? Or?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Sadier. That was Sadier out there in Cleveland. And next we got a newcomer to the YouTube, I believe, out there in Miami, Eddie. Eddie, how you doing, bud? Welcome in.
I'm all right. I'm all right. How y'all doing?
Oh, we're doing great. This feels nice to have a fresh face on the YouTube. I know we've had the other ones on there quite frequently, but it's nice to have a new face.
Glad to be a service.
Having everybody.
So before we get into the hot seat, and Brennan, I will take this liberty, and I hope you're okay with it. Can you just tell us sort of how you're feeling about your offseason, seeing as how you were one of the biggest players in free agency?
Well, I'm kind of conflicted because there are things that I was trying to focus on that I didn't get done, but a lot of the stuff that I wanted to get done has been checked off the list. So in general, I'd say I'm feeling 7.8 out of 10 on the offseason.
I love it. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off. I'll kick this one off. Outside of you, who is the biggest winner of the offseason?
Ooh, I'm going to say Seattle.
All right. How many of your bold predictions are you going to get right this year?
I'm going to aim high, and I'm going to say 10.
All right.
Oh, I like that. All right. Last one here for you. In the NL East, who's going to come out on top?
Washington.
Fair.
Right
I like that he's fair and direct. I like that everyone – thank you so much for joining us, Eddie. Actually, Eddie, I'll give you this offer. Would you like to stay with us to ask me and Brennan some hot seat questions if you got a minute?
Sure, why not?
Just off the top of your head. I guess we'll throw Brennan on the hot seat first here. I'll start it off to give you a second to think of some answers. And Brennan, number one to you. I know we can sort of get more involved just because we've been doing these episodes a lot. For your team, who's going to be a guy who's currently in the minor leagues that's going to impact your team the most this year?
Ooh, guy who's currently in the minor leagues that will impact me this year. Chris Bledsoe. He came up just for a little bit in September. He's going to start the year in the minors. He's got a big bat.
I like it.
All right, so between the two central divisions, the AL Central and the NL Central, how many playoff teams total come from those two divisions?
3.
All right. Eddie, you can have one more. I'll do one more as well. Brennan, for you on this one. In the West, between the two West divisions, how many players will win an award?
How many players will like Gold Gloves or like major awards?
No, like the major awards.
So
we know the West has said MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year.
2.
I like it.
Kind of bouncing off that question, which team in the MLB will have the most Silver Sluggers on it this year?
Which team have the most Silver Sluggers? Baltimore.
Wow.
Bash Birds are going to be back for round 2.
Taking
like
it up. I like it. All right, you two. Brendan, I'll let you take over here since I'm now on the seat.
All right. Over under. War for Alex Verdugo. 5. We're setting it at 5. Over under.
I'll take the over.
Okay.
Who finishes last in the NL West?
In the NL West? Colorado.
More important question, I think, because Colorado's the 5. Who finishes 4th of the 4 main competitors?
I'm gonna say Arizona.
Aaron's gonna hate that.
Yeah.
And which AL team will have the batting champion on it?
Batting champion. Wow, that's a good one. Even though they're gonna miss the playoffs, I'm gonna go Boston. I think they've got a lot of good hitters there that sort of fly under the radar just because they're not, outside of LeBlanc, none of them really capitalized on an MVP last year, but they all had that ability. LeBlanc was really good. I think Devers can have a good season. Bogarts could have a good season. They have a really good squad out there that just sort of flies under the radar, I think, a lot of times, and a lot of people don't talk about them. And I think that's, not due to anyone's fault, but just due to the fault that, they're not all that active in the Twitch stream and the Discord, but they're still a really solid squad all around.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good answer.
Eddie, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, as well as all the other GMs who joined us for this little hot seat segment. I'm really happy with this segment as a whole, and I'm glad we brought it in and involved.
And you know what? While I have you here, I've got one left for you.
Okay.
Who is the best pitcher in the National League right now?
Oh, that is such a good question. God.
Because in order to answer it, you probably have to say some nice things about one of our guests here tonight.
In the National League? All right, I'm going to go a little off the cusp just because I don't think you're expecting it. But after last season, I love what he did. I'm not going to go with any of our guests here. I'm going to go with Yofran Escalona of the Mets.
That's fair.
I really like what he did last year, and I think he can have another really, really good season this year.
And I just want to put it in my opinion, because the only reason I asked this, based off past performance, not necessarily ratings, past performance, it'll be Frank.
Fair enough. All right, really quick, just before we all go, I'm going to bring everyone back in here to say hello one more time, to welcome themselves back and enjoy yourself. I wanted to thank you all for coming on. And real quickly before we go, just sort of as a last hot seat question for each of you guys, how many wins is each one of your teams going to get? We'll start up here with Andrew and work our way around. So, Andrew, how many wins is your squad going to end up with?
94.
Eddie?
77.
Sadir?
76.
Tom?
99.
Wow. And I mean, Brenden, we talked about it last episode, but that's a wider range. I mean, I honestly didn't expect to see that wide of a range coming in from everyone. It's a really interesting dynamic. I mean, Andrew and Tom, I think you definitely show it just based on your high level of play and players. And I think, Eddie, even though I predicted you a little lower, and even you, Sadir, I think both you guys, even within our division in the NL East or the AL Central, both you guys have the opportunity to do even better than you're projecting, I think.
Agreed.
Aw.
Aw, I had to show some love for the NL East. Well, thank you so much to everyone for joining us. For everyone involved, we got Andrew, Eddie, Sadir, Sean, Tom, Brenden, and myself, Aiden Pearson. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Here's Why You're Wrong. We truly appreciate all you guys. And until next time, we'll see you later.